Okay, I'm trying to capture some behaviors that I don't like in the latest FSD 14.1.4. The lenses here. We're just leaving the Port of Brownsville, heading back to Port Isabel real quick. I want to hit the Quack Car Wash. Hasn't been too bad of a morning. Maybe I'll get another ride here. I don't know. But I'm going to hit the Quack Car Wash and maybe do one last pass of the island and then probably try to head to Corpus Christi or San Antonio. Corpus Christi is only a couple hours away. It seems to be busier than McAllen. We got a very slow truck up here, so are we going to get over quickly, or are they going to get out of the way? Okay, they're getting out of the way. Go up to San Antonio. Definitely busy there. Plus I can grab some hitch rides that pop up. See a lot of hitch rides from Houston. So I don't know, should I go to San Antonio or Houston? Tomorrow is Friday, last day of the month. I really should swing by the house in Louisiana. It's been months since I've done that. Trying to capture is the aggressiveness of this swerving on places that it thinks might be potholes, and it usually happens quite frequently on this stretch, and it's usually sections of the pavement that's been patched. I am in chill mode. Some of these I think it could do better by straddling them, making sure they go between the tires instead of going off to the right onto the shoulder. I personally don't like it when it goes onto the shoulder to avoid a pothole, because there's a lot of debris on the shoulder. A lot of rocks and stuff gets pushed over that way. Nails, you name it. You know, as you see, there's like chunks of wood here and there. A lot of construction going on through here, so you go to that shoulder, you kick up some of that stuff that's been moved off the road or worked its way off the road. Shoulder okay in emergency, and if you have to just avoiding a pothole, straddle it. Unless there's a guy to the left of me, then yeah, so not straddling. Had some police cars escorting a wide load, so they didn't have the flashing yellow lights on it. They had their flashing red, blue lights on. This morning, going to the airport, the car refused to pass them, and then when they finally started making their turn into the port, the car kept pulling over to the side of the road for them, even though they were ahead. And you can see over here on the left side, we got a bunch of trash blocking the entire lanes. Looks like someone lost several garbage bags or something. But in both the lanes over there. Just some of the stuff I have to deal with when driving around here. The temperature has considerably dropped. You know, it was down at 51 degrees earlier in Brownsville, 61 on the island, and Grok just can't get the weather correct. I don't know why. So right lane closed ahead. The car does not read signs. Doesn't use OCR software. Now, if it's following the truck, I don't know. You can see these patches here, they're white. It's not doing it right now. And right here it's moving over a little. But not aggressive. That was okay. That I don't mind. And that's what it should do. A subtle move over like that is okay. But when we get to these cones in here, I've noticed this several days now. It has some weird reactions up here. I'm trying to see why. I don't know if it's the shadow of the cone that it's throwing it, or Murphy will dictate that now that I have the camera running, it's not going to do it, but that's how Murphy is at times. Straddle those two little white ones, but that was smooth. I think it's giving it more space because that truck has its emergency blinkers on, but no, you don't need to be changing lanes. Disengage that. That's not for me, that's for the construction vehicles. Going to change lanes or not, or if it's just trying to follow the truck just in case the truck might have known something we didn't. Yeah, and there's a little bit of a slug or dodge to that patch there. It's not the bad one I was always talking about, or always experiencing. doing right now. I'm just concentrating heavily on the pavement in front of me, trying to see what it is the car reacts to. It's not the shadows. There's a few little patches there, a little bit darker in color. So far it was pretty smooth there. It didn't have what I was looking for there. Thank you, Murphy, for, you know, and it straddled those like it should. Okay. Little white patches there. It actually, you know, moved a little bit to the left to straddle them. We got this lane closing again, so it's going to get in front of this van. But yeah, I mean, I understand it's really hard to distinguish what is a pothole and what's not unless you have experience on the road. A lot of times, if we don't know, and the car doesn't have that memory to know, it's going to have to assume it might be a pothole. Where you drive it a lot, you know it's a patch. Now we do have the police car here going with his lights on constantly. It's not bothering to react to it. I guess it understands what it's doing there. And whenever it goes to dodge these so-called, or what it thinks it's potholes, when it kind of crosses the line to dodge them, it does it safely. There's no vehicles next to me at the time. So I am assuming that if a vehicle is next to me, it will choose to go ahead and just hit the pothole or straddle it, preferably, than to avoid it. And it kind of moved over a little bit nice and smoothly there for that section that needs patching, I guess, where the very top layer of the asphalt's off. But it can be sudden, so if you're drinking a drink that's open, you might spill it on you. So I recommend a straw and a closed cup anytime when driving. Get one of these from Buc-ee's or wherever. Very good. Keeps the ice cold for several days. And reusable. And it's days like these I wish if I had a lot of money packed in the bank and I could just sit back and break out my star tracker and do some photography. I do have a filter, so I can sit there and film the sun all day. Little patch there, and it moved over a little bit for that, nice and smoothly. So unfortunately I was not able to capture the jerky dodging of potholes and whatever that I have been experiencing several times now. And like I say, good old Murphy, I turn the camera on, it doesn't happen. When I ask Grok information about the weather and it gets it completely wrong, and I go and try to turn the camera back on and re-record it, and then it gets it right, it's like, okay, well, yeah, that makes it difficult. When it actually spells Mississippi correctly or scrubbed correctly when I'm recording, but when I'm not recording, it doesn't. But then again, we do have a cabin camera, so maybe Gronk is actually using that camera and knows when I'm filming. Conspiracy theory. How much of the car is actually watching us? How many times does it swerve because you're not paying attention? Maybe it does that little jolting, to avoid the potholes, because it's like, I don't think you're watching the road. Let's see if you're paying attention. Hello? So like my dad used to do while we're driving. We're sitting in the back seat. He would just kind of jerk the wheel to the left or right just to jar us and wake us up. And the car is trying to decide if it's going to go. It had an opening it could have took, but it didn't. And it's waiting. But in this lane, it could come here and merged over. But I am trying to turn left over here to get to the quick quack. So, and they're closed. Well, that bites. I guess they figure 69 degrees is too cold for car wash. Or did they lose power or something? Navigate to the South Padre Island Convention Center. And let's see if the car can figure itself around here. Sometimes when it reroutes and circles, it picks some odd ways to go that are more difficult than normal. Yeah, it's moving over for the piece of the palm tree there. Slowing down good for the speed bumps. I would say about 95% of the times it's doing a good job catching the speed bumps. Now, I personally would go through the parking lot and hit the light to make the left here, but it likes to go up to the stop sign. R-Pod, not a bad looking RV camper. But, if the traffic's busy, this would be more difficult. Because you're near a light, so you have to deal with the cars turning at the light. And I have a car behind me, and I know he kind of wants me to hurry up and go and take the middle section. And it sees an opening, it's going for it nice and smoothly. Okay, so we're going to be going past a couple police cars up here. Looks like they're making a stop. So let's see if we get any weird behavior passing police cars. I've had that happen once or twice. It'll pass the police cars and then it'll pull over the side of the road because it sees the police cars behind me. But it's like they were stopping someone else. Someone else. I cannot speak. My dentures are loose. And I have cars in front of me and around me. A little bit of extra brake tapping there. I can't tell if it was doing that because the Mercedes was on my bumper there and wanted them to back off a little. It'd be nice or it'd be funny if the car had that type of emotional response. Okay, let's see here. Before I even get onto the item, let's see what's going on here. Well, we have 2 Ubers parked there. They like to park down here because they know I live here, and they like to try to block rides from me. And they come in from other places. And they don't live on the island. If they did, they'd be parked at their house and not at a Stripes or a restaurant parking lot. But yeah, the hotel itself is getting kind of agitated with some of the people that are coming and plugging in at the destination chargers at the hotel and charging for free. But those destination chargers are for hotel guests. You know, if you're staying at the hotel, getting a room at the hotel, then yeah, you use the destination chargers. If the superchargers are backed up and busy, then you use the destination charger until the supercharger is available. That's acceptable. But unfortunately, there are people who are parking their car at the hotel to charge overnight or whenever, and having a friend pick them up and take them back to their condo. There's also, other Uber drivers of EVs that are parking there waiting for another ride and getting free electricity. The visitor center has chargers that you pay to use. They just don't want to pay. And it impacts the hotel, especially when the hotel is slow and they're not that busy. They're spending a lot more on electricity because they're charging everybody's car for free. Or the one lady who is still on the island somewhere. They finally got her to leave, but she was camping out in her Tesla for over a month, using the destination charger, tying up the destination charger. Even people staying at the hotel on busy weekends, they couldn't use it because she was parked there. She was taking showers in the public bathroom in the lobby early in the mornings. Sometimes drying her clothes by hanging them over the bushes at night. And, of course, you're a few feet from the supercharger. She could go to the supercharger. And right here's what I put up to Mad Max, because the sign for 55 is not till the top, but the rest of it is 55. And Mad Max helps me get up to that appropriate speed on the bridge. But anyway, when she was approached, her comment is she's traveling. She doesn't need to pay. But I mean, the supercharger is only a few feet away. You can hit the supercharger, charge up, pay for the electricity, which is not that expensive, and go and park on the beach or wherever you want on the island and use camping mode for many days on end, and then come back and hit the supercharger again. There's no need to be sitting there at a destination charger nonstop. Yes, the AC and stuff runs off of the destination charger that when you're plugged in, and not off the car's battery. But you're not paying for a hookup. You're not paying for parking. And yes, she could do that. She could pay for parking. The hotel, would charge $20 a day for parking if she wants to do that. A lot cheaper than hotel rent. not as cheap as charging your car and going and camping somewhere. But because of that, the hotel is going to be, swapping the destination charges out for newer destination chargers, where they can actually set a rate and bill the customer and make a profit off of it. So if the hotel is paying, say, 9 cents a kilowatt for electricity, with the newer destination chargers, they can set the rate, and Tesla themselves handles the billing for you at 3 cents a kilowatt. So for every kilowatt they add, Tesla takes 3 cents. And the hotel may put the rate at 26 cents a kilowatt if they want. Still cheaper than the supercharger at 35 cents. So you have Tesla taking their 3 cents per kilowatt. The electric rate that the hotel is paying for is like 9 cents a kilowatt. So they'll be making 10 cents a kilowatt profit. And if someone wants to park there and camp, fine. It's not a whole lot of money, but they're at least not stealing electricity. And I do call it stealing electricity. Some people say it's not, because it's not something physical. And I do mean some people say that. I had someone argue that I caught who walked across my yard and plugged into one of my outside outlets to run their ACs and stuff off in their house. And they argue that there's nothing wrong with that because it's not physical. You can't physically touch the electricity. You can't hold it in your hand. I just kind of felt like zapping off a taser. It's like, well, feel that, But they thought they were in the right. They didn't see anything wrong with that. And they were doing that because they didn't pay their electric bill. And as they say, they have a right to keep cool. I can't, It's unhumane of me to let them be so hot. I don't know what's wrong with some people. Even in my house, I've seen people sometimes with an EV with a pull up and use my charger in the house, and that happens every now and then, and it's sad. And there are some false stories out there, like one guy said he found a way to suck the energy out of the battery to reverse it. No, they can't do that. It's some of those videos are BS. Okay, so we're on the island. And oh, look, there's even more Ubers now. So let me pop the Lyft app on just in case someone's looking for a Lyft ride by any mistake or any chance. And on another note, I'm not sure how I feel about the cash rides on Uber. I've done a few. I've had no real problems with them. But Uber has opened that up. So we're at 67 degrees on the island. And the car is just doing everything just fine. Haven't been able to catch any of my little issues that I occasionally have. Now, what's going to happen if I end the navigation suddenly? Sometimes it does some strange things. So I'm going to end the navigation here. So let's see. Navigate to San Antonio, Texas. Okay, we could make a U-turn here, but so a 5-hour drive, 2 stops. I wish there was a way to bring that back up again, you know, because it's like I want to see what the statistics were again. But yeah, you can't do that, and it's preconditioning the battery already. Making a U-turn here. That car was thinking about it. If you tap here, the preconditioning disappears. But if you listen to the car, it actually does not stop preconditioning. It's like you just got rid of the notification, though. I know, I was just looking at the screen. I want to find out what the total, you know, I should be there at 4 in the afternoon. Or do I just want to go to Corpus Christi? Okay, it was slowing down for the speed change, not for the bug. I was about ready to wonder, is it really slowing for that bug? But yeah, I have it in chill mode, so it's pretty aggressive at slowing down, but staying over the speed limit. But I did have it slow down and brake for a pretty big butterfly the other day. So thankfully we prevented the future from having issues with the butterfly effect. Well, let's end that and let's navigate to Corpus Christi, Texas. So yeah, Corpus Christi is only 3 hours away. And it's already preconditioning the battery an hour before we get there. That's okay, but I prefer not to precondition. So I'm just going to remove all destination chargers, or all supercharger stops. Now, it says I can make it there if I stay under 61 miles per hour. It is 173 miles, and I do have 173 miles of range left. So if I keep it under 61%, I should be able to get there with 6% battery, or stay under 61 miles per hour. And what I have talked about in the past is it'll be nice when you're driving and you need to make that extra distance. Say if I want to go there, and if I throw this into sloth mode, at least, it should go the speed limit or what it needs to make it to the destination. So if I get into a 70 mile per hour zone, stay at 61. Listen to what the car is telling itself on how to get there. And you know, if I pull up this here, it's going to say I want to be 30 miles short. But of course, if I follow the recommendation of staying below 61 miles per hour, I technically should be able to get there. You can use 100% of the range of the battery or 110% of the range of the battery by driving like an old man. And it'd be nice to have a setting to be able to do that. Because I'm sure a brand new Model Y with the 357 mile range, I am sure if you push it, you can get 400 miles out of that. But you have to, I don't think full self-driving will do it. It has too much of an acceleration. You have to accelerate a lot slower, keep these watt hours way down to be able to make it there. And I've done it. In my Model 3, many a times I've gone over what it said I could travel. A lot of debris here in the road. Now, Murphy's going to dictate, once I get on the other side of the bridge here, I'm going to also have a ride pop up. I've had the car dodge a lot of pillows or seat cushions here the past couple of days on the bridge. Not sure when they're going to come and clean these up. I don't know how often they clean the trash on the bridge. That plastic on the guardrail there has been there for several days. Side of the road. Yeah, here we come, some more pillows or seat cushions here and there. That looks like a regular pillow. Could be a couple of throw pillows, and even more down here. So someone lost some stuff. A whole lot more here. So I don't know if they're probably in there somebody's boat or something and wasn't secured. Now in Port Isabel. you know, I want to turn the camera off, and that's right when the car would do something that I'd be like, oh, if I only had the camera on. I can always try to do a live stream on YouTube. Might be interesting. See if I can catch anything on the road drive then. Bike basically going the wrong way on the road. You're supposed to follow the rules of the road on the bike still. Coming to a stop. Car just good distance behind me, so that was no issue. We're technically a little bit over the line, but sometimes when it sees it over the line like this, it would back up, but with the car behind me, it's not doing that. police vehicles over here, lights on. I'm guessing this is a funeral procession. Car is pulling over, coming to a stop. Yes, it's a funeral procession. And it put itself in park. Okay, now a lot of people will do that and say a prayer as the funeral procession passes. Now, is this an excessive behavior for police vehicles on the opposite side of the road? You know, we're near Mexico. It's a big Catholic area, so this is kind of normal way people will sometimes do it. But if you see nobody else is doing it. But I'll let them go ahead and pass. And we'll go ahead and hit the self-driving again. But yeah, did it need to come to a complete stop and put itself into park for that? Now, I can see if the police car is behind me and pulling me over, yes. That would be completely appropriate if they're directly behind me. But, for them to be on the other side of the road, I don't know. Maybe they're going to turn in. You know, maybe it didn't know. I mean, I know it doesn't know it was a funeral. It just saw emergency vehicles. Maybe they were going to turn into the parking lot, the place in front of me or something. Yeah, but once they started passing, it should have known that. Or understood the situation better. But that's also one of the many edge cases I run into. When you drive 10 to 12,000 miles every solitary month, and that's what I do. And this 2026 Model Y, 4.5 months old, I already have 53,073 miles on it. My Model 3, 3.5 years, over 360,000 miles on that one. When you drive as much as I do, you run into a lot of little edge cases. Not very often do you get passed by funeral processions. I hope not very often you get passed by funeral. If that's a daily thing for you, then yeah, I would be concerned on what's going on where you live. If you tell me you get passed 3 or 4 times a day, I would hope it would not be that frequent. Oh, look at all that black smoke. I think they're have an oil ring problem or something. But normally for this stretch going through Los Fresnos, I normally have no issues. Right here near Laguna Vista, we have the STEC, or STEC, the Southern Texas Ecotourism Center. They actually have a couple of chargers there that are free for the public to use. J1772s. So if you have your Tesla, you have your adapter, which usually comes with your portable charger. You can use those for free. I don't know if they allow overnight parking. but it is an open parking lot. It's not gated. But yeah, somewhere just kick back and charge and look at the wildlife and, look at the viewport there, or their viewing stand there. So yeah, now it's kind of warning, except a little more that, hey, you just stay under 64. But like I say, if I drop it down to sloth mode, it'll do just the 65 speed limit. And if anybody in Tesla hears this, what have you, yeah, I don't want to not use full self-driving, because full self-driving is safer than a person driving. Especially when you're looking at driving long trips or what have you, where you're getting tired and exhausted. I much rather have full self-driving doing that. But when you're trying to stretch, say if there was no superchargers available here, and we just had to get to the next one there in Corpus Christi, and we were limited on our range, it'll be nice if the car will pay attention to what the car is suggesting as well. Because right now, if I wanted to do that, I would physically have to be driving. Especially when I get up on the interstate where it's 70 miles per hour. Now, the reason why I'm not letting the battery precondition, because I still have both my apps on. I may get a ride here and there on the way. Maybe. I don't know. And if I use the preconditioning of the battery, it's warming the batteries up and everything, and you lose range during that. It's not excessively cold outside. And it's okay. That was a little bit. Now these were the ones I was talking about, the swerving for the patches in the road. A little aggressive there, taking onto the shoulder across the rumble line. It could have straddled them. It could have gone a little bit to the left, stayed in the lane, and still straddled, like these here. Unless for some reason the camera thinks it might be something that is taller than the bumper, but I can't see that. I think it thinks it's potholes. But that was another one there too. Not as pronounced as the previous ones. But yeah, that's what I was looking for before, and those still weren't as bad as before. There are some that it really gets overly aggressive at avoiding when it really didn't need to, because it wasn't a pothole, it was just a patch. And that's one of those things, it's like I don't want it not to do that, because the one time it is a bad pothole, I wanted to avoid it. I am at 53,000 miles. Last they checked, the tread's still good on the car. I do love the way I give someone a ride, and they say they work on cars, and these cars, you got to change the tires every 20,000 miles. No, you don't. If you drive crazy, maybe. If you burn the rubber like crazy, maybe. My Model 3, I have 360,000 miles on it. I have Michelin tires on there from, I think, Defender tires from Discount Tires. I put over 100,000 miles on those tires. And those last a long time. And they try to say that Teslas are a lot heavier cars and they go through tires a lot more. I don't think it's that much heavier. I really don't. You don't have a big bulky engine anymore. They're not lead acid batteries. So the battery pack is not, when you think of battery, you think of picking those big 12-volt batteries is what everybody thinks about. Even then, you pick up a little AA and then a lithium AA, there's definitely weight difference, or 9-volt. I have a couple of lithium 9-volt batteries, and it's a lot lighter than a regular 9-volt battery. Okay. But I'm going to end this here. I'm not sure how much battery's left. Hopefully it's still running. But I'll find out when I end it. Like and subscribe would be appreciated. Luckily I was able to get those couple little incidents that I wanted to show. The aggressiveness avoiding what it thinks is potholes, and the kind of excessive behavior around emergency vehicles. Let me know in the comments, what do you think? Is it appropriate to pull over and come to a complete stop when you see a bunch of emergency vehicles going the opposite direction on the opposite side of the road, which just turned out to be a funeral procession? Is that appropriate? Did it excessively move over fast, too fast? You know, it does get over there quickly. It doesn't hesitate when it sees the emergency vehicles. Is it too much? But thank you very much. Like and subscribe, please.